Oh, hey there. Hi, this is Heather Vickery. Goodness gracious, I am so glad that you chose to tune into the Brave Files podcast today. Today happens to be Thanksgiving if you live here in the United States, so happy Thanksgiving. I'm incredibly grateful for you. I'm so delighted that you're here listening to the podcast and that you are out living your best brave life every single day. Today's a really special episode because today I'm sharing a new project with you, and I really think you're going to like it. So let me take you back a few months to August of 2021, where I was attending the Podcast Movement Conference. I really enjoy the podcasting community, and podcasting conferences are the best place to meet the coolest, kindest, most wonderful people. And I met a guy there named Alan Seals, and it was very apparent from early on that Alan and I were going to be buddies. We were going to be really good friends, and the more we talked and the more time we spent together, the more we realized that we wanted to keep talking about something that we both found fascinating, and that was the concept of chance and manifestation and creation of our most creative dreams. And Alan and I wondered, was it chance that we showed up at this podcasting conference together? Was it fate? Was it destiny? Was it manifestation? And it led to some great conversations, which have subsequently led to a brand new podcast called Was It Chance? So today I am sharing the very first episode of Was It Chance? The podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risks for your creative life, with hosts me, Heather Vickery, and Alan Seals. We are two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they took and continue taking to put themselves on a path to creative success. I think you're going to like it. There's a lot of laughter. Alan and I have a really good time together. Before we do that, though, I want to remind you that for this weekend only, I am having a Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale. So it's this weekend, 4 days. I have opened up my books for 4 special VIP spots at 50% off, which is a little crazy. You may be going, Heather, why would you be doing that for 50% off? And I'll tell you why. It's quite frankly just simply because I want to. I want to be able to connect with you, and if for any reason you've been interested in spending some time with me, getting some serious clarity on who you want to be in 2022, what you want to build, what you want to transform, what you want to create, you can grab one of these very special VIP spots. They will be available November 26th through Monday, November 29th. All you have to do is visit vickeryandco.com/Black Friday 21 for all of the details. This isn't available for purchase on my website. You're going to read all about it. If you're interested in it, you're going to send me an email directly through the page, and I will get you set up. 4 spots only, half off. That's absolutely insane, but they are incredible days. We're going to get to spend several hours together. It's not just coaching, it's also walking away with an actionable plan that you can implement right away. So excited to share this with you. I cannot wait to hear from each and every one of you. And also, I want to know, what opportunity presented itself to you? What chance encounter presented itself to you that then subsequently changed your life, but you couldn't have anticipated it in advance? I'd love to hear. You can reach out to me, Heather at vickeryandco.com. I hope you enjoy this very first episode of my brand new show, Was It Chance? Don't worry, the Brave Files isn't going anywhere. We're going to keep bringing you an episode every single week, but we're adding this to the mix, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So let's get started.
Intentional creation is a word that I want to have tattooed on my butt cheeks.
Hey, Alan Seals.
Hey, Heather Vickery. We met by chance and embraced opportunity.
We did. That's actually true.
Yeah. Well, how did we meet? Tell the story.
We fell like in friend love,
right?
Didn't we? I think we did.
Yeah. Is this so this is what I'm supposed to say? I love you back. Okay, I love you back.
Hey, listen, it's in your actions, not your words. For me.
That's deep. That's deep, man.
That's how I roll.
Who are we?
We met at a podcasting conference. I actually really remember. So you were like the king of the loners that night. And you're not like that. You're like social and chipper and happy and all those fun things. But you were like, I'm going to go to the movies by myself. And I'm like, I don't even know you, but you should go to dinner with us. And then we fell in friend love. And then...
Well, it was, okay, so it was Podcast Movement in Nashville.
Yes.
So we'll give them a plug. We were there because we're both podcasters. We've got podcast lives outside of this podcast. And all of the people that I was there to meet had not shown up because of COVID. And we are the stupid ones who did show up.
We weren't stupid, though. We met each other. Hey,
well,
was that chance?
I think that was chance. We should start a podcast about that.
We should start a podcast about that. All right. Well, so maybe you thought you were there to meet all of these other people, but you were there actually to meet me.
I think so. And in another life, I think we would have this giant family with 20 million children.
If I weren't gay and all.
If you weren't gay and all, and I wasn't already married with 2 kids of my own,
yeah,
then yes, I think, and live in different places and all sorts of things. Yes, then we might be, yeah, I think we are besties. We are podcast and real life besties. And people talk about manifestation as a thing that you can just think into existence. And serious for a second, unfortunately, it's not that easy.
It's really not that easy. The thing is, when it comes to making your creative dreams come true, what really matters is actually putting yourself in a position to thoughtfully and intelligently, we were really careful about that word, intelligently take advantage.
I was gonna say, that's hard for us.
Speak for yourself, Alan Seals. To take advantage of the opportunities presented to you, because just like at Podcast Movement, sometimes these opportunities show up in really unexpected ways. And if we're not paying attention, we miss them.
So I guess to go back to the actual story about how we met, which we never really told.
Oh, we never really told that story.
I was standing at a table that was socially distanced from other tables in this particular room. And I was like, all the people that I know are not here. All the people that I don't know are somewhere else. And so I'm a people, by the way. I'm a whole person, folks. I was sitting right there. Not yet. I had just purchased my movie ticket on my phone at the movie theater. That was about a 10-minute walk away. And then you and some friends that I think you had just met there like a few minutes previous, right? Came up and were like, hey, can we share your standing table with you? Yes. One of them was my friend Mary Rutt from the Latter-day Lesbian podcast. She was my roommate. So shout out to Mary and Latter-day Lesbian. So yeah, you and Mary walked up and were like, hey, I'm paraphrasing here. I think we just all became best friends. I think so. I mean, literally in about 5-10 minutes, it was like, we're just going to be best friends. We're going to go out to dinner. And it was on the way we were walking. First of all, the food options were not ideal. I missed the Bojangles pop-up truck, and I blame you for that. It was my fault. Worth it. It was actually my fault that you missed the Bojangles pop-up truck, and I actually feel bad about it. It's okay. This is way better than Bojangles, and it takes a big part of me to admit that. Thank you. I feel really special. So we're walking to dinner, and on the way I know nothing about you. Your name tag says BPN. I don't know what that means at this time. But I discovered that you live in New York City. And Brooklyn. I'm going to be there for Thanksgiving. It was my partner's family. Every other year I go to New York and I spend Thanksgiving with her family. And I stay the weekend to like do fun stuff and hang out with people I know. And I said, can you hang out with me? And you're like, yep, done. And that was it. It was like meant to be BFFs. We had all these plans. And I think I looked across the dinner table at you and I said, we're new best friends now, aren't we? The waitress ended up hating us, even though she had to like us.
I don't think
she
that's
wanted our tip.
true. I think the waitress liked us.
You think so?
I think the chef might not have liked us, but I think the waitress liked us.
Well, you did run back and throw your food at the chef's face.
I did not do that. He lies.
Yeah. No,
Alan doesn't
I
tell the
remember
truth.
you got up and you were like,
oh, shit.
where's the chef? I need to pay my compliments. I put in air
not.
quotes, and you ran in the kitchen and threw the food in the chef's face.
So if you're going to be a regular listener to the Was It Chance podcast, you need to know right away that Alan lies.
I exaggerate.
I did not.
I exaggerate. I don't lie. You did have issues with the food.
Yeah, the food was not good, but the service
None of the food was good. Nashville, I don't think, is known
good.
for its food. It's known for its music, but you can't eat music.
Some people can.
Not and nourish themselves.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so then I learned what BPN was, and you're a Broadway guy, and I'm a Broadway girl. I have a musical theater degree. I've just never actually lived in New York or, performed in New York. However, I'm a big theater nerd. And my kids now tell me it's officially unacceptable for me to still be a Hamilton fan because it's been too long.
You haven't seen it?
Oh, I've seen it 5 times.
Well, then how can you not be a Hamilton? Why did you lose your Hamilton fan license?
Because my children said it's over and it's done and I need to let it go. It's no longer acceptable for me to think in Hamilton lyrics, which is where we really solidified our best friendship.
Heather, do not throw away your shot.
So I said to you, like, do you ever stop thinking in Hamilton lyrics? And you were like, no, who does that? So we had exchanged phone numbers and we're chatting and we're having a great time. Do you remember this? And
yeah.
And out of the blue, out of nowhere, kind of late at night.
Because we were texting. I was taking the Uber back to where I was staying and we were texting each other like lovers who had just left each other.
God. My partner is not going to like listening to this. It was not like lovers. It was like friends.
Who love each other in a friendly way.
Alan, okay. But I texted you. Do you remember what I said? I said,
can we get real a second?
Can we get real a millisecond? No. I just said, can we get real a second? And then I dropped it. And you were so serious. You were like, yeah, absolutely. Actually, we were not texting yet. We were going back and forth on the event app. It was the event app. So your response was, yeah, absolutely. I'm here for whatever you need. It might be easier if you actually text me. Here's my phone number. So then I text your phone and I'm like, you've totally let me down.
Oh, I know. I dropped that ball. I dropped that ball. And then I knew never again can I take you seriously.
Oh, right. Because I'm the liar in this situation. No,
you can take me seriously.
But it was funny. And then you came back. You're like, oh, wait, I missed it for just a millisecond. I got it.
So you have a new book that just came out.
I do.
That features your favorite word. What is that word and what is the book?
The word is fuck.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And the book is called Fuck Fearless. And yes, it's intentional. And yes, it's bold. And there have been haters. And that's okay because they're not my people.
Have there been haters?
Oh, yeah. Like, I would never read that book because of that foul word in the title. Like, it's okay, man. I'm not for everyone.
Good. So your book spoke to me very much in that basically it's just like, fuck being fearless. Like, just put your money where your mouth is essentially and do it. And that's, in all seriousness, I think, where this podcast has come from, because we now are going to be bringing you interviews, you, the listener, with people who have taken a chance and had it shape their lives, change their lives, and others in their creative way, in their business, their professional lives, in ways that they never would have predicted. And we're going to bring you those stories. Yeah.
And we're really excited about it because I think we had this like sort of magical moment where we thought, was it chance that we ended up here and then we got to meet each other randomly? You were going to go to the movies. You didn't go to the movies. Like, now we're going to do this cool thing together. And how often do we stop to think about the choices and the actions we make that put us in a position to have something really great happen. And we either miss the sign, or we don't pay attention, or we don't take the action. And so how much of it is chance and how much it is intentional creation?
Intentional creation is a word that I want to have tattooed on my butt cheeks.
It's two words, unless you hyphenate it. But
you have to say it real fast. A phrase is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
See, I exaggerate. So, but for me, it's been I kind of equate it to improv, the yes and of life.
Absolutely.
In that, if I stop to think about all the things that could go wrong with the multiple outcomes of any decision I am faced with, then I just sit on my couch and binge watch Netflix all day.
100%. Like, we can't sit around and be like, all the things that could be bad if I make this choice or take this action. I mean, we can, and sometimes we do. But then because I'm a success and leadership coach, and what I would tell a client is, okay, well, now we know what the worst thing is that could happen. What's the best thing? Like, if you go out and do this. So let's look at this podcast as an example, because people think I have lost my damn mind that I am adding something else to my list of things I do. And I am sure your wife was like, you're going to do what with who? But whatever. What is the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is I hang out with my friend and we have a good time and we talk to some cool people and we do it for a while and then we don't. That's literally the worst thing that could happen. The best thing that could happen is, like, who the hell knows? We have a live TV show and we make billions of dollars and I'm the next gay white Oprah. And I don't know. Who are you? Who are you in this scenario?
Listen, you don't need another cis straight male.
So you could be my sidekick then.
I will be your sidekick until the cows come home.
Oh, Ellen, thank you.
You're
welcome. I have a question for you.
What's that?
What is the first time? Let's just say, as an adult, no, we were telling terrible dad jokes earlier. No, what is the first time as an adult that you can remember that something happened that maybe felt like chance and you took action on it and you were like, no, I'm going to do something with this. This was not an accident.
It was when I moved to New York to be an actor and started doing computers, started doing IT. It
worked out well for you. Mr.
That worked
Google.
out very well for me. Ended up at Google as an engineer, which brought me into the Broadway world, which was another chance I embraced. And so now have not only the Talks at Google job, but a Broadway podcast network called the Broadway Podcast Network.com. And strangely enough, someone just said, hey, do you want to produce Broadway? And now I have 2 Broadway production credits.
That's really cool. And there are a lot of those moments in our lives where if we're not paying attention, they kind of just fly on by and we really miss out on some cool opportunities.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like introverts are at an immediate disadvantage to taking advantage of the chance of sitting down next to a stranger and talking to them?
That's a great question because I am an introvert.
No.
I am.
I seriously don't believe that.
I know you don't believe that. Nobody believes that. And I didn't know it either until COVID, in which I realized I never needed to be around other people and that would be perfectly fine. So the main difference between I'm an extroverted introvert, but the main difference is where do you get your energy, right? And so something like Podcast Movement worked for me because I came 2 days early and I stayed 2 days late and I was by myself both of those times. Like, I needed to be completely by myself to recalibrate before I could go home and be with all 4 of my kids and my partner. And my partner calls them my 5 needy bitches. My kids and my partner, my 5 needy bitches.
That's the next Disney movie, actually, by the way. I saw the preview for it.
Are you going to produce it?
Yes. I'm looking for investors.
I've already spent all my money.
Yes. The White Chick and her 5 needy bitches coming to a theater near you.
Could I at least be the queer white chick?
The queer white chick and her 5 needy bitches.
It's a little bit harder for, I mean, super hardcore introverts, I think, could be a little bit more challenged in that way to answer that question. But I think it's more about, it's less about being in big, huge spaces or going to conferences and, putting yourself out there, and more about just sort of looking for those opportunities. I think a great example, I was at the She Podcast conference last month. I was a speaker there, but the keynote speaker was Cameron Esposito, who I really want to have on this show, by the way. Just going to put that out there.
Let's put it out there. Let's Oprah this into existence.
Yes, please. And Cameron is like painfully shy, super, super introverted. And it's obvious. It's part of what makes them a really good comic and good stand-up comic. But also they have these great podcasts, and they've found all sorts of amazing opportunities and leaned into these chances, and, for lack of a better term, manifested them. And I like the word manifestation. People think that it means you think a thing and then that thing exists. And that's not what it means. It means you declare a thing and then you change your action and your behavior so that the thing can exist at some point.
You're subconsciously helping yourself choose a more desirable path in the multiverse.
Absolutely. So into the multiverse. God, I love you, Alan Seals.
I'll be one of your needy bitches.
Now Heather and her 6
I'll be less needy. I'm pretty self-sustainable.
You do okay.
I agree that I feel like when you start to literally say things, not just think it, but like say it. Like I talk to myself all the time.
You've got to say it out loud. Absolutely.
And I hear it in my mind after I've said it. And then when I come to a decision, a crossroads, immediately the first thing that pops in my mind is what I'm hearing in the back of my head of what I've already said. And so without thinking about it, the decision to take that chance doesn't become a discussion, a fight in my mind anymore.
That's right. It's just a thing we're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's a risk, but it's a risk that there's really no harm, no foul if it doesn't come to be. What could, you waste your time, maybe feel stupid, maybe nobody listens. I can live with that.
It's a chance.
It's literally a chance.
Literally a chance podcasting in general is all about chance.
But you don't get a chance if you don't ever fucking go out and do anything.
Right. That's where I get frustrated with people now in my old age of 41. I get frustrated.
So much older than you.
I get frustrated with people who are afraid to talk to someone or afraid to try something they've never done before simply because they don't want to fail at it. Well, if you don't try, you've already failed.
Absolutely.
If you don't put yourself out there, then you're not going to be any farther beyond where you already are.
100%. And also failure is such a stupid construct. There's always a lesson. So I love podcasting conferences because I meet my best people there. So one of my newer friends, Stevie, so I'll give a shout out to Stevie, who I'm excited to introduce you to, by the way. Stevie at the dinner table with a bunch of folks from She Podcast said, let's do Peach and Pit. And people are like, what's that? Well, we do gratitude practice. I'm a firm believer in the power of gratitude, certified in positive psychology. I've written 2 books on gratitude. It's a big deal for me. But I'd never been in like an adult situation where a grown ass person says, let's do a gratitude practice at the dinner table with all these other grown ass people. And they called it the Peach and the Pit.
So like Rose and Thorn?
Well, it is like Rose and Thorn, or, my house, we do favorite part of the day and grateful. My children are very resistant to switching to Peach and Pit, but I loved it. And I couldn't quite figure out why. It sat with me for like 24 hours until we were all back together for dinner the next night. And I realized here's why I like it, because you literally cannot grow a peach without the pit.
Oh, okay. So what, if I'm interpreting this correctly, then what was the linchpin in your day, if we're talking on a micro level, that has created a great opportunity for you at the end of the day?
There you go. Like what sucked and then what's in it for you. Yeah. There's always something in it for us, right? I like it too.
I like that. I think my kids would be too young to understand that concept, but I'm going to try it on them.
Yeah. Try it.
We do rose and thorn. Bedtime is always rose and thorn. We do that.
My littlest one, who's 8, took right up to peach and pit. Loved it. My older ones are too set in their ways. So I would say your boys are a perfect age for it because they're malleable. Like you can, let's try this. But you know, when I'm coaching, I don't ever say wins and losses. So this is why I don't like rose and thorn. I mean, I'm all for thorn, but I say, what are your wins and lessons? Same thing as peach and pit, right? Like what were your opportunities here to do something different or to learn? And I have a good friend. I had her on the podcast on the Brave Files. She does a celebratory failure event with her kids every day. What did you fail at today? And then they tell her, she's like, oh my gosh, now what did we learn from that? What are we going to do differently? Or how are we going to change that? And I just think it's friggin' awesome.
Yep. Yes. I have now heard several people who do that. They literally do a celebration of failure. They talk about what they failed at that day. And then, it turns into the peach and pit. How did that failure turn into something positive?
Exactly. And I would venture to say that moment of failure could be your chance if you're paying attention.
This is all about training yourself to be not hyper aware to a fault, so you're missing what's around you, but to be more trained to notice small details or small opportunities as they not pass you by, but as they present themselves to you.
Before they pass you by. Because if you're not paying attention, they will for sure pass you by.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's why one of the simplest things that I taught myself to do years ago was in elevators, don't look at my phone. See who I'm in the elevator with. And you know what got me to do that is through my time at Google, I've had many a bigger name come through.
In an elevator with you.
Well, I'm escorting them from the entrance to our green room or to the event space or wherever the case is. So like one of the biggest things that I remember, like I got in a packed elevator in the morning. I was taking Bob Saget from the lobby up to the 11th floor, shoulder to shoulder elevator. Every other single person except Bob and me were looking down on their phones. All you had to do was look up and say like, holy shit, I'm literally shoulder to shoulder with Bob Saget right now.
Yeah.
And it's those types of opportunities. Like I've walked around with Jamie Foxx, with Harrison Ford, with Reese Witherspoon, literally exact same situations where these Jessica Biel, Anna Kendrick, everyone just looks down on their freaking phones the whole time. And they don't even see the opportunity literally walking by them to say hi to somebody that they may never, ever get to see again, that they've always wanted to meet.
I love that. So I think that's a great example of leaning into the opportunity, leaning into the chance. You never know. Put down your phone and pay attention and be aware. Look around you, see what you feel.
It's not just phone. I mean, phone is a very specific example, but when I was younger, I wouldn't have thought that going to a movie, like taking it back to the original, going to a movie by yourself, eating dinner by yourself, I would have never thought that was acceptable. I would have never wanted to do that. And then now, again, in my old age, I'm always so go. Kids need something. Love my wife. She always needs something. Everyone needs something.
Yeah.
And sometimes for me, as an extrovert, I like to now be by myself.
I love to be by myself. I take solo vacations quarterly where I go for 5 days, pack a bunch of food, pack a bunch of books, go off the grid at an Airbnb, and I just don't talk to other people for 5 days. It's magic.
That's beautiful.
I did an episode of my show. Actually, I recorded it from Nashville after Podcast Movement, or the last day of Podcast Movement, in one of those little booths. And the whole episode was dedicated to the gifts you can give yourself when you choose to do things alone. I've traveled alone a lot, and dinners and restaurants. And the very first time I did that was not by choice. I got ditched by my longtime best friend, childhood best friend. And that was so painful. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go anyway. And I was young, in my really early 20s. And I was like, you know what? I am fascinating and I am fun and I like hanging out with me.
And did you meet people and talk to people and find opportunities because you were by yourself that you wouldn't have had if you were heads down with somebody else the entire time?
It's a great question. I was really young and I probably wasn't seeking those opportunities at the time, but I did have experiences, like really poignant, life-changing experiences. But I didn't make any new friends that were going to change my life, but I learned a lot about myself.
I went to London and Bangkok. It was a work trip many years ago. It was about 10 plus years ago. And that was the first time I traveled internationally by myself. And it was just a trip where, because I didn't want to go back to my hotel after work every day and just be myself, I just went out and I just walked. And because I was by myself, I embraced the chances that I was having and asked the street chefs what they were cooking and sat down with people who were also by themselves and was making friends with them. And that carried over into another trip with Italy that I went with a platonic friend of mine. And she and I, literally everywhere we went, were just making friends left and right, and ended up becoming like besties with this group of Belgium cops that were off duty on vacation.
That's awesome.
And we're hanging out with them in Rome for like 4 days and ended up having the greatest time that if we had just been afraid to give a little bit of yourself outside of your comfort zone, would have never experienced.
Absolutely. I will say I've always been the kind of girl who makes a friend on vacation. So some of my closest friends still are people that I met when I was 12, 13, 14 years old on a family vacation. And it was a lot harder to keep in touch back then. We had to make expensive phone calls and write real letters. And we still keep in touch.
On papyrus? Yeah. You stamp, you do your wax stamp on your papyrus? Yeah.
6 years older. That's all. Just 6 years. So, Alan, what can listeners expect from our show? What kind of guests are we going to have on?
In the true spirit of this podcast, I'm going to take a chance, and I say we have every single type of person you can imagine. Business people, CEOs, Broadway stars, creatives, TV and film celebrities. Everybody has to have gotten where they are by saying yes to something that they weren't quite comfortable with in the first place.
I'm excited to ask those people if they knew, did they declare? Did they seek it out? Were they like, I want this, I'm going to find a way to create this? Or were they just opportunities that they were presented with and they said, let's take a chance, let's try it?
I want to know what their failures are and how they improved because of their failures.
I love that. You guys can, if you have questions, if you want us to ask specific questions about chance, creation, manifestation, opportunities, let us know. We can implement those. What do you think, Alan?
Let's do it.
You want to take a chance to start a podcast with me?
I think we just did.
I think we did it. Hey, we did it. That is awesome. All right. Was it Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risks for your creative life? Coming to you from me, Heather Vickery.
And me, Alan Seals. Found everywhere podcasts are found.
Who are we? We're two random strangers.
Too perfect. Well, I'll be Balky.